You've seen squirrels thousands of times in your life. In your yard, in the trees, on the fence, running across your driveway, burying nuts in your garden, watching you from a branch with that peculiar stillness that makes you wonder what it's thinking. And yet you've probably never seen a dead squirrel. Not lying in the grass, not on a sidewalk, not anywhere. Where are they? This is not a small question. Squirrels die every single day. Starvation, disease, injury, old age, predation, accidents, the list is long. But the thing about squirrel mortality is that it's extraordinarily high. Researchers estimate roughly 50 to 70% of young squirrels don't survive their first year of life. For every squirrel eating at your feeder right now, statistically half of its litter mates from last spring are already dead. So where are the bodies? This is one of the most overlooked mysteries in your own yard, and the answer is far more specific and far stranger than most people realize. Let's start with the numbers. North America is home to roughly 200 million squirrels at any given time. Eastern gray squirrels, fox squirrels, red squirrels, flying squirrels, ground squirrels, across every ecosystem from suburban backyards to dense forests. The annual mortality rate for adult squirrels averages between 40 and 60%, depending on the species and habitat. In harsh winters, juvenile mortality spikes to 80% or higher. That means in any given year, somewhere between 40 and 120 million squirrels die in North America alone. If even a fraction of those bodies remain visible for more than a few hours, you would see dead squirrels constantly. On your street, in your park, on every trail you walk. Dead squirrels on your porch. Dead squirrels in the middle of sidewalks. Dead squirrels scattered across open yards like leaves in autumn. And yet you don't. The statistical probability that you should have encountered far more dead squirrels than you actually have is overwhelming. The answer has several parts. The first one is the most straightforward. Squirrels don't die where you're looking. When a squirrel is sick, injured, or entering the final stages of life due to age or disease, its behavior changes in very specific ways. This is documented in research on rodent terminal behavior. Studies on everything from parasitic infection to systemic organ failure show that sick squirrels become lethargic, disoriented, their movements slow. Their reaction time degrades. They pant, shallow breaths. Their eyes stop tracking movement with the sharpness they once did. They seek shelter. They stop foraging in open areas. They retreat inward. A healthy squirrel operates in open or semi-open spaces, on branches, across yards, on fences, where it can see predators coming and escape quickly. Movement is life. Exposure is strategy. A squirrel that is compromised, that cannot move fast or react quickly, feels something in its body it doesn't have language for. A vulnerability. A wrongness. A knowing that it is no longer the thing it was. It does the only thing evolution has taught it to do, it hides. The dying squirrel retreats to the densest cover it can find. A burrow. A tree cavity deep in the wood, the base of a hollow log, thick undergrowth beneath a brush pile, underground tunnel networks created by moles or voles, spaces where light barely penetrates, places where a predator is less likely to spot it, and crucially, places where if it dies, the body will be concealed from view. This behavior is not conscious strategy. It is instinctive threat response. A squirrel that knows, in whatever way squirrels know things, that it cannot escape, that its limbs won't respond fast enough, that it is no longer safe in the open air, hides instead. It crawls into darkness, into the dry, cool safety of underground, into spaces where it cannot be seen. The dying squirrel moves slowly, deliberately, with whatever energy remains. It seeks the deepest burrow, the most impenetrable hollow, the place where predators cannot reach it and predators cannot see it. And the place it hides to avoid predators in its final hours is the same place that conceals its body after death. This is why you rarely see dead squirrels in the open. They are not dying in the open. They are dying in the places you don't look. The dens and hollows and dense vegetation that you walk past every day without a second glance. If you were to push aside every brush pile and check every tree cavity and underground burrow in your neighborhood, you would find more dead squirrels. But you don't do that. No one does. And so the bodies remain hidden, not because they've been removed, but because they were never visible to begin with. But concealment alone doesn't explain the full absence, because even in places where squirrels do die in the open, on lawns, driveways, sidewalks, the bodies disappear quickly. Research on scavenger efficiency and urban rodent mortality shows that the average time a squirrel carcass remains visible in an area with active scavenger populations is between 1 hour and 6 hours. 1 hour to 6 hours. If the squirrel dies overnight, which sick squirrels often do because their compromised metabolism can no longer sustain body temperature in the cold, the body is often gone by the time you wake up. The scavengers that remove squirrel carcasses are not what most people picture. You're not looking for vultures circling overhead. You're looking at much smaller, far more common scavengers. Ants begin working on a carcass within minutes of death. Thousands of them, streaming across the body, tunneling into soft tissue. Beetles, carrion beetles specifically, arrive and lay eggs. Carrion flies, blowflies, flesh flies, they detect death from a quarter mile away using chemoreceptors we can barely imagine. Within hours, their larvae hatch and begin consuming. A single carcass can be stripped of soft tissue by insect activity within 48 hours under the right conditions. In warm weather, the decomposition accelerates exponentially. Maggots hatch within hours, hundreds of them, working in organized waves through the tissue, producing heat that speeds decomposition further. The body becomes liquid. By day 2, all that remains is bone and fur. But the faster, more complete removal happens because of vertebrate scavengers most people don't think of as scavengers at all. Domestic cats are among the most efficient removers of small rodent carcasses in suburban areas. A cat encountering a dead squirrel on a lawn at 3 a.m. sees an easy meal. Cats patrol territories regularly, often at night when you're not watching. A cat's sense of smell is 14 times better than a human's. A dead squirrel on concrete at 3 a.m. becomes invisible by dawn. You wake up, the squirrel is gone. You never knew it was there. Raccoons, opossums, skunks, and foxes, increasingly common even in urban areas, are opportunistic scavengers. They don't need the carcass to be fresh. They will take anything in any stage of decay. They actively hunt dead animals throughout the night, their sensitive noses detecting carcasses you would never find. A raccoon can smell a dead squirrel from a quarter mile away. It will excavate, drag, and consume in the darkness. A fox will cache carcasses for later feeding, burying them in a garden or under a shed for later use when food is scarce. Crows and ravens, which are highly intelligent and constantly scanning their territories for food, will take dead squirrels. Even other squirrels will scavenge, especially in winter when protein is scarce and every calorie matters for survival. They will eat the organs first. The soft parts. The parts with the most energy. The efficiency of these scavenger networks is so high that researchers studying rodent mortality have to check locations multiple times per day to document death before the evidence is removed by the ecosystem. But there's a third part of this that's more unsettling. Some squirrels don't leave bodies because they are consumed before they die. Predation is one of the leading causes of death in wild squirrels. A sharp-shinned hawk or Cooper's hawk takes a squirrel mid-leap across a yard. The kill happens in seconds. There is no body on the ground. The hawk's talons pierce the spine. The squirrel convulses once. The hawk carries it to a perch, consumes it elsewhere in branches far from human view. You see an explosion of fur in the air, and by the time you go outside to look, the hawk is gone, and so is the squirrel. What's left are a few fur tufts scattered on the lawn, and within an hour they blow away or get picked up by birds for nesting material. A coyote or bobcat stalks a squirrel at the base of a tree. The kill is quick and brutal. The coyote's jaw closes, and the squirrel's body is consumed in the underbrush, miles from where you walk. Coyotes are efficient. They eat most of the body. Bones, fur, organs. The only evidence might be scat days later, far from the kill site. A great horned owl hunting at night takes a sleeping squirrel from a den entrance. The kill happens in darkness. You never see the predation event. You never see the squirrel. The owl swallows it whole or in large pieces. Hours later, miles away, it regurgitates a pellet containing indigestible parts, bones, fur, and you walk past it without noticing it exists. Red foxes work similarly. They hunt primarily at dawn and dusk, taking squirrels in transitional periods when the squirrels are most exposed, moving between burrows and food sources. The fox consumes the squirrel whole or in large pieces and moves on. There is no body. There is no evidence of death. When you combine these factors, concealment by the dying squirrel, rapid scavenging of any exposed carcass, and consumption via predation that leaves no remains in visible locations, the statistical probability that you will encounter a dead squirrel drops dramatically. You would need to be in the right place, a place where a squirrel died in the open, at the right time, the narrow window between death and scavenger removal, and in a location you actually look at closely. That combination of factors is rare, which is why your perception that you never see dead squirrels is accurate. Now, let's talk about the part that gets uncomfortable. The part about whether squirrels have awareness of their own death or the deaths of other squirrels. For a long time, the assumption was that squirrels lack any concept of death, that they process a dead squirrel the same way they process a fallen branch. But research into squirrel cognition is beginning to suggest something more subtle and more disturbing. Researchers like Lucia Jacobs at UC Berkeley have documented that squirrels maintain complex spatial maps of their territories, not just where food is, but where danger exists, where safe routes are, where risk has manifested before. These maps are updated constantly throughout their lives. They are passed down through generations within family groups. Mother squirrels teach young squirrels which routes are safe, which areas have predators, which spaces should be avoided at all costs. And there's emerging evidence that dead squirrels trigger changes in that map. Squirrels avoid locations where they've encountered dead littermates for extended periods, weeks, sometimes months. They increase alarm vocalization when near dead squirrels. They increase cache-checking behavior as if validating that their own survival resources are still secure. Researchers have documented that squirrels seem to actively mark locations where dead individuals have been found, returning to those sites, scent marking more intensely, creating what looks like a behavioral warning system for other squirrels in the territory. In one observation study, researchers found that when a juvenile squirrel died in a burrow system, the other squirrels in that territory began avoiding the entrance entirely. They would route around it, sometimes traveling significantly longer distances to access other burrow systems. This avoidance persisted for months. It was as if they had marked that location with something invisible but communicable. A scent, a warning, a memory encoded in behavior. Whether this reflects true death awareness, a squirrel understanding that another squirrel has ceased to exist, or simply a sophisticated threat response to an anomalous and disturbing presence in territory, is still an open question among researchers. But the behavior is consistent. It happens across populations. It persists across time. What is not in question is that squirrels are doing something with the information they extract from dead individuals. They are not ignoring death. They are responding to it in ways that are consistent and behaviorally specific. They are treating dead squirrels as markers of something significant in the landscape. They are updating their maps. Whether that's just something wrong happened here or my brother died here is the line researchers are still trying to cross. Here's what you should take from all of this. The absence of dead squirrels in your daily experience is not an accident. It is the result of overlapping evolutionary strategies, predator avoidance that drives dying squirrels into concealment, scavenger efficiency that removes exposed carcasses within hours, and predation itself that consumes squirrels before bodies can appear. They go into dens and tree cavities. They go into the stomachs of scavengers. They go into the talons and beaks of predators. They are processed by insects, by bacteria, by the same decomposition systems that handle every dead organism. They disappear not because of mystery, but because of ecology. And yet, in the territories they leave behind, something remains embedded. A mark in the scent map that persists. A location encoded as dangerous in the spatial memory of every surviving squirrel in that family group. A pattern that other squirrels notice and encode in their behavior, returning to those sites repeatedly throughout their lives, adjusting their routes to avoid them entirely, treating dead littermates as landmarks in a geography of danger that shapes how they move and where they venture. They communicate this information through scent marking, through altered movement patterns, through the simple fact of avoidance that gets encoded in the younger squirrel's understanding of their world. The memory of death becomes embedded in the territory itself, passed down through generations. They're there. They've always been there, You're just not looking in the right places at the right times. But somewhere in the burrows and tree cavities scattered across your neighborhood, other squirrels know, they remember, they mark those places. They tell their own story.